There is a major storyline in this franchise that I have not even addressed, and it has a big impact as to what we will be doing going into the future, and that is Jalen Duren. He is on the final year of his deal and looking to hit free agency in this upcoming offseason, and the reason I haven't really thought of it as a storyline is because I thought he was a very easy re-sign. I've liked what he's done for us so far in the franchise until I learned what his expected salary is. For the production that Jalen Duren is giving us, I thought, somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 million a year seemed fair. He's asking for nearly $35 million a year. That's getting close to max territory. I know it's under the max for sure, but Jalen Duren is asking for a whole lot more money than I was planning on. If we take a look here at what he is doing for us, we take a look at this pretty regularly, so it should be about the same. 14 points and 11 rebounds a game with 1.6 stocks a game, shooting 56% from the field. That is certainly high quality starter production, and that's why I've thought it a no-brainer that we would keep this player upon the expiration of his current deal. But for a good level starter who's not really an all-star, who's not really a difference maker, I was thinking more 20, maybe up to $25 million a year. He wants at least $10 million more than what I was projecting to give him. I don't know if I feel comfortable paying Jalen Duren $35 million a year. It puts something that I thought was a guarantee into a little bit of a question. The problem is with this draft-only franchise that I have pigeonholed myself into, though for good reason. I like the challenge. It's not easy to replace a player the caliber of Jalen Duren in this type of franchise. The most easy way to replace him would be to promote your backup center. I've been pretty open this season about how I'm not even happy with what I've seen with Zeke Nnaji as a backup center, so him being our starting center certainly worries me. One other option is to have Ayrton Saramago play some center. I like him better at power forward, but he certainly has the ability to play center. But the replacement options for Jalen Duren, at least in-house, I don't love. As far as between Nnaji and Saramago, I'd rather start Saramago at center than have to start Zeke Nnaji next year. But the most natural way to replace a player who's leaving is through, of course, the draft. And last episode, I previewed Esteban Gonzalez as a 7'5" center in this upcoming draft, and somebody that I am interested in. He has an immense amount of upside here, but there are a couple other centers that I think are worthy of discussion. And when I previewed the draft a couple episodes ago, I talked about there being some other players worth talking about in this class, and we're going to go ahead and talk about them now. The first guy we're going to talk about here is Clifford Holland. Clifford Holland out of Purdue is somebody who in his college days used his physicality a lot to score the ball, something that I'm not sure 100% translates to the league, but he's a really solid interior defender and rebounder. He hustles a lot, a team leader. 6'11" for Clifford Holland. Solid size for center, not, anywhere near 7'5" by any means. Definitely a little bit more NBA ready than a guy like Esteban Gonzalez. Has a couple more skills that seem day one NBA ready. Despite this shot you're seeing here, not much of a shooter though, not going to stretch the floor much. He's more of an interior focused center, more of the traditional kind, but many scouts are very confident in Clifford Holland's upside here. All NBA Wes Unseld has certainly a chance to be. He's actually 6'10". I thought he was 6'11". So same height as Jalen Duren here. He does have 4 badges to start, which is really nice. Gonna help him be a good rebounder and defender, and that's certainly his day one skill set. Doesn't offer much offensively yet. At center, though, I'm fine with more of a defensive-minded center. His IQ is extremely low, which that worries me. But he has A+ potential, so he could eventually be a guy who develops a good offensive game and becomes a good two-way center. Esteban Gonzalez, the fact that he's 7'5", makes me personally put him a little bit ahead of him, but I think Clifford Holland is certainly a center prospect worth considering in the top of this class. Not going to be, I don't think he's an elite center prospect. I don't think there's an elite center prospect in this draft at all, but I think he has the makings of being just somebody who could honestly maybe be kind of similar to Jalen Duren. He doesn't have the perimeter defense or the athleticism of Jalen Duren, but somebody who can just play solid interior defense, grab all the rebounds. Seems like a pretty solid replacement for, to me. The other center that I kind of like in this class is RJ Walker. RJ Walker out of Stanford, he offers a little bit more of kind of the modern big stuff you want. He can shoot the rock a little bit from the mid-range and even from beyond the arc. Not somebody who had high volume here at Stanford, but an unselfish player and a solid high effort defender down low for his team at the collegiate level. So if you want a center that can add a little bit of range, he's kind of the center for this draft. The thing with him is I'm not nearly as sold on his upside as either of the two players that I have previewed so far. And I was really looking at him as a solid backup center of the future option. Didn't really love him as a future starter at the center spot. Doesn't have any badges to start out. He starts at a 74 overall, and he's got some 3-level scoring capabilities. He doesn't rebound or defend at a super high level yet, but it's not at a terrible level either. He just doesn't have the upside. He technically does have Yao Ming All-Star upside, but it's a little less clear whether or not he'll hit that. This is the guy that's 6'11". That's why I was confused with Clifford Hayes. But 6'11", 254 pounds here. He's more of a guy that if we want to maybe package a couple of seconds and move towards the back half of the first, that's kind of the guy you're looking for. He's projected to be drafted. I mean, I don't think he's going 10th. I'm thinking this SN projection is probably the closest to where he'll go. Somewhere if you want to trade up into the high 20s to get a center, you could consider RJ Walker. Certainly not the caliber of the first two guys that we've talked about so far in this class at the center position. But if something doesn't go right, or maybe something does go right and we have a really high pick in this draft, too high to take one of these centers, I think you could trade back up for a guy like RJ Walker. Again, I'm not thrilled about the prospects of him being a starter. So kind of out of nowhere here with me learning about how much money Jalen Duren is asking for, center has kind of become a sneaky, really big potential need for us in the offseason. I thought it was definitely on my radar, but more in a backup capacity now with maybe some upside to eventually replace Jalen Duren. We might need to find a replacement for Jalen Duren next year, because if there's another team willing to offer him that $35 million, I'm not sure I'm gonna match it. While we're here though, I mentioned the last time we previewed the draft that there were a couple of prospects that I thought were worth talking about outside the top 3. Talked about a couple of them just now, but there are a couple more that I think I'm pretty excited about in this class, and I just like to show them to you, introduce them to you right now. Let's start with point guard prospects, Jackson Mays. Out of Seton Hall here, he is a superb athlete. The best first step in this class, very easily. He might end up being the quickest and fastest player to come out of the draft in our entire Vancouver Blizzard franchise series. He's 6'4" and has a really long wingspan. You can see those arms drooping down nearly to his knees. And his early playing card is going to be his athleticism. He can go coast to coast like you're about to see in this highlight extremely easily. Seems like he's an easy paint touch whenever he wants to be. Has some crafty finishes on the inside, can blow by guys, and maybe my favorite part of his game is that he's a very good passer. Despite the fact that he's got good size, wingspan, and athleticism, he's not a great defender yet, but I think he can become one. And he's somebody that I think is absolutely worth considering as kind of maybe the best player outside of the top three. I think it's probably between Mays, Holland, and Gonzalez for that honor. Not a lot of stuff to hang his hat on early. Nothing above, a B- except for his physicals. But he has Jason Kidd All-NBA ceiling here. Don't know if he's going to hit it, but if he does, I can absolutely see that caliber of player. And with Jackson Mays, he has 3 badges to start: Ankle Assassin, Dimer, and Posterizer. He is a very unselfish teammate, kind of more of a pure point guard. Think of maybe like a De'Aaron Fox kind of player, I think, with Jackson Mays. He is extremely quick. In the games that I watched, he was blown by defenders with such ease that I was kind of awestruck by it. But not really much of a shooter, unfortunately. You'd always love to have good shooting at your guard spots, but if you're looking for a combination of good upside with elite athleticism, good size, Jackson Mays brings all of that. The apple of the eyes of everyone at the point guard spot is Albert Ellis, but if you miss out on him and you're looking for point guard, I think Jackson Mays can be very good. And then the last player I want to talk about here is Connor Wells. If we end up deciding that maybe Ayrton Saramago needs to play the 5 for us and Jalen Duren's gone, I think Connor Wells could slide into a starting spot at the 4. He is very skinny, as you see here, but at the 4 spot, he competes defensively, and he's just a really good shooter. Your prototypical modern day stretch 4 kind of player. Solid size on Connor Wells. He's not going to have much beyond his shooting to hang his hat on early on in his career, but he does have quite a bit of upside on him. Taking a look at his ratings here. A shooter, solid inside defense, okay rebounding. You don't love the starting IQ spot, but with that A- potential, he doesn't even have a comp. It's just Hall of Fame, which there's only one other player, I think, so far that's had 2 other players that have had Hall of Fame in this class. So Connor Wells is an upside play for us, with Saramago kind of being our locked-in starting power forward of the future. I'm not 100% sure if Connor Wells fits our team necessarily, unless again we move him to center, Saramago that is, but I just want to shout him out as somebody that could be somebody that has a very big role on a very good team at some point in this series, even though likely it's not going to be ours. That's kind of my crop of players that I'm very interested in so far in this class. I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 more will come to fruition as the season goes along, but unlike last year where there was like 4 players that I was willing to draft, there are a lot more in this class, and I think it's going to be a very fun draft that will have high impact players on many different teams around the league. It's time to see how we fare against The team that many believe is the best in basketball. Of course, the new look Rockets, aggressive at the trade deadline. And we get to see just how good, or maybe not so good, this team looks against a team of this caliber on the road. Let's get things underway. We're rocking the Vancouver Vice jerseys here. Missed by McKnight, leads to a Devin Booker 3 in transition. That looks very quick and very easy for Houston. Get their first points on the board, but a pick and roll with Jalen Duren gets Vancouver a nice quick answer after that. In the post, Şengün with the lefts. Finishes over the top of Duren. Now Duren looking to return the favor. Gets the double. Passes to an open Lonzo Ball for 3. Ties us up at 5 apiece. Couple minutes here into the ball game. Jabari got a couple of nice screens. And the easy look at the rim is a 2 for the Rockets. Saramago from 3. Got some space off the 3 and took advantage of it. Been better than I thought from beyond the arc in the rookie season of Ayrton Saramago. Meanwhile, McKnight, a very clean look from beyond the arc, but can't get it to fall. A couple of pretty clean misses from him so far. Hopefully he can get back on track as this game goes along. Devin Booker with another make there. Josh Green driving in on Kevin Durant and finds the space to finish right over the top. Nice aggressiveness shown by Josh Green there. Would love for him to be a little more aggressive in general. Excellent defense by McKnight on 2 separate shots from Devin Booker. He gets the ball in transition but can't finish it. Would have been a nice two-way play for Greenlight McKnight. Instead, he gets another look from 3 there. Hesitant on that one. Had a couple of early misses, but still want him to feel like he's always got that green lights that his nickname implies. Maybe he thought he was just a little bit too deep. Lonzo Ball off the pump fake, finds Saramago behind him for the mid-range jumper. Another bucket on the board for Mago. Lonzo Ball off the Mago screen, no good. Houston running the other way. The give is to Booker. No good, but the follow through by Şengün. Makes it 16-12 in favor of the home squad. Devin Booker from the mid-range finds the space to extend their lead. Inside, ball goes to Mago. Few bodies inside, but that's no problem for the Brazilian beast as he gets his 3rd basket of the ball game so far. Good start for him. But Devin Booker has been very powerful in his shot making so far. That one's a miss by Saramago. Booker, pick and roll with Şengün, finds him open on the interior. Zeke Naji going for the still, couldn't get it. Gets burned, and Houston leads by 9. Passing around the horn, Josh Green ends up with the ball. He gets fouled on the 3-point attempt. It's a couple more points there from the stripe, but Devin Booker continues his high volume scoring here in the first. A bad pass by KJ Martin gives the Rockets a transition look, and Tari Eason from the corner. Just like that, we're pretty much getting doubled up as this quarter is coming to a close. Saramago can't hit the triple. Now Houston playing for the last shot. It'll be a pull-up 3 by Thompson. We'll take that, I think, anytime we can get it. Down 16-31 after 1 quarter. That one just rattles out by Isaiah Joe to start the second. Davidson from the mid-range hits his first basket of the game. Leonard Miller, tons of space, and drills the lefty 3. Davidson hit a mid-range shot a couple minutes ago. Goes for another one. This one misses. Leonard Miller in transition, left by his lonesome, and that's 6 quick points by Leonard Miller. Davison has another jump shot, now 2 for 3 in the ballgame. Extends the Houston lead back up to 14. Isaiah Joe forced to take a top of the key three late in the shot clock. Can't get it to go. And that's just something we see too much from kind of this second unit alongside Cameron McKnight. I think going into next year, no matter what we do with the draft, we're going to have to figure out a way to better surround McKnight with players that help enhance his skill set there as he gets a couple of free throws from that strong drive. Houston leading by a dozen here. A few minutes here into the second. That one rings off the backboard. Isaiah Joe trying to get the finish inside, but Şengün wanted nothing of it. Houston now trying to set him up in the post for the two-way play, and the turnaround post shot is down the barrel. In transition, the give to Leonard Miller. He goes off glass. This has been a very good quarter for Leonard Miller. 8 points already above his season average. Devin Booker again with the mid-range jumper. He's been very consistent from that area today. Now extends it to 3, and Houston's lead extends to 18. We're about to fall down by 20 points here. We're just barely halfway into the second quarter. That could have been a 20-point lead by Houston there, but Reed Sheppard couldn't finish the 3. Late shot clock heave by Lonzo Ball is a good-looking shot. Reed Sheppard trying to answer, and he does just that. Three-pointer down the barrel. 18-point lead again. Step back 3 for Booker. No good on that one. Vancouver running the other way. Leonard Miller tries to feed Jalen Duren on the alley-oop, but it's stolen away by Gafford. Another trade deadline acquisition by this Houston team. Booker sifting through the screen, pulls up for 3. And with us down by 21 already, I think it's time to call for a mercy killing early on in this game. I think we saw that Houston is a very formidable team. We didn't even see much from Kevin Durant in this game. So when he's on, I don't know how anybody beats this team. We're, of course, not the highest caliber team out there, but Devin Booker ends up dropping 47 in this one. Great stuff from him. 3 Rockets over 20. Saramago leads us with 26, but we ended up losing by less than 20, but we were never able to really get back in this game. McKnight goes 1 for 17. That's wild. This is his worst game of the season, I'd bet. Just a handful of games remain here in the season. March was not super kind to us, especially this 2-week stretch where we couldn't pick up a single win. We're 1-9 in our last 10, which is, I guess, for a team that had no playoff aspirations, not a terrible thing, but I would like to end off the season with some momentum if possible. In terms of the entire league, we are 4th when it comes to worst record in the league. The Jazz at 20-57 hold that top spot. The Wizards right behind them. And then we are a half a game away from the Lakers. So we're pretty much 3rd, 4th right now. Could drop to 5th. I think in these last, I think it was 7 games, I could see us being anywhere from 2nd to 5th when it comes to lottery odds for the next season. Been a much more encouraging season in some areas for sure, but we are still not a very good team. In terms of differential, we are 5th worst in basketball. If you go by scoring, we are not the worst. We're 7th worst in the league in scoring. Defensively, we are 10th worst in that area. Like I said, 1-9 in the last 10. Not where you want to be. One thing I haven't really done yet is kind of take a look at where we are struggling as a team. I think this will give us a good way to know exactly just kind of what skill sets we should be looking for. Where do we rank in certain categories throughout the league? In terms of shooting, we have the 5th worst field goal percentage in basketball for threes. We aren't terrible, actually. We're not on this screen at all. So 3-pointers, we're pretty league average there, which I think you'll take. In terms of getting to the free throw line here, we are about 7th worst in that category. And then when we get there, we're shooting them at tied for the worst clip in the league. I think Jalen Duren probably has pretty big impact on that. In terms of rebounding here, we are about half of the league in terms of getting offensive rebound, but I really want to make sure we aren't a bad defensive rebounding team, because that's where I think it's more important. And we are 7th in the league. So that's a big prop to Jalen Duren. Again, he's a big time rebounder for us, and he keeps us solid in the rebounding area. Assist is something we are not going to be good at here. We're not as bad as I thought we would be. We only have one player averaging 3 assists plus a game, and so I thought we might even be one of the absolute worst, but certainly an area we can still improve in. Steals wise, 5th worst in the league. Blocks wise, we're going to be a little bit more towards just below league average there. Turning the ball over, we have the 7th most turnovers per game. So towards the bottom in assists and turnovers is not the place you want to be. In terms of fouling people, looks like we're a little bit more towards the middle, right there at 15. Converting points off of turnovers. This is something I want to be really good at with our 7 seconds or less system. Said we're a little bit league average, which league average, if we're league average in a statistic while we're one of the worst teams in the league, I think that's a stat that we're doing fine in. Second chance points here, I don't believe we're going to be very high. That 4th worst there. In terms of getting points in the paint, we are not super hot there. I think Saramago has done a little bit more on the perimeter than I was expecting. I thought we'd be a little bit better here. Maybe as his development goes, he'll become more of a dominant interior presence. In terms of bench, our bench produced the 6th fewest points in all of basketball. In terms of allowing field goal percentage, we weren't one of the worst in the league, so that's good. We are 12th worst, which I think will take. The Spurs lead the league at forcing people under 43%. In terms of opponent threes, they do have the 6th highest 3-point percentage against us, so maybe need to do a little bit better of a job defending the perimeter. This kind of goes along with the fact that I think one of the things we really need is we need a little bit better playmaking on this team still. He added Ayrton Saramago to be a shot creator, but his assists, I was expecting maybe more like just under 4. He's been under 3 this year, so and then we know McKnight, his playmaking is not his strength. So whatever we do in this upcoming draft, I think we need to add a playmaker of some sort, get some more assists on the board. Isaiah Joe, if we can have him not have to be a point guard next year, I think that's really going to help us out. But we'll be finishing off the season and going all the way into the off season, going through the playoffs, see who wins the championship. All that will be in the next episode, which will be coming out soon. And until then, bring the Blizzard.